Welcome in, everybody, to this week's episode of the DNVR Rapids podcast presented by Ivaka TV. I'm your host, Mitchell Carroll, joined as always by super producer, the superest of producers, the greatest of all super producers, Yahir Vazquez. Yah, welcome in, brother.
Nice to be back. Miss
And
the people.
Two esteemed colleagues. We have from an editor from Last Word on Sports, host of Holding the Highline Rapids podcast with Rabbi and Red, Feyenoord superfan, future landmark on top of a giant mountain. We got Matt Pollard in here.
Mitch, that might be the best introduction I've ever gotten doing podcast stuff. I can't claim to be a Feyenoord superfan and everything, but I am back from my gallivantings around Europe, getting over the jet lag and everything. Cole Bassett's on the up, so clearly my arrival...
It was all you, bro.
Yeah, so clearly we need to start a GoFundMe to get me to an Antwerp game, and that'll get Sam Vines a 15 million euro transfer to the Bundesliga.
Look, you're the biggest Feyenoord fan I know, so we're going to roll with that. And also joined... Juan Fernandez, Juanners.
What's up?
The host of C38 podcast.
That's me.
Betting extraordinaire, MLS bets.
Sometimes.
Welcome in, man.
How's it going? How you doing?
Dude, great. I'm glad to have both of you here this week, man.
Mitch, may the 4th be with you. Happy Star Wars Day.
Let's go.
Never tell Juanners the odds.
Yeah, never.
Can I just say thank you for inviting me to a DNVR where we win?
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Because I think it's a lot easier to stomach.
We did win. You're right.
Because it's always like tough to be like, the Rapids lost.
Man, they lost. It was
but
that.
No, we won.
Dude, it was 5 weeks of that, bro. It was awful in here. Awful. I do want to get one shout out in. Yes, it's May the 4th, but it was also my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. Shout out.
Mama Mitchell.
I don't think
Carroll.
she's ever watched the podcast ever. But just in case she decides to tune in, she's actually in Portugal right now, but if she decides to tune in on vacation, shout out, Mom. All right, we got a good show today. We got a lot going on. Obviously, we're going to recap the win over Charlotte. Talk about
Portland.
Win over You're
Portland.
right. I wrote Charlotte in my notes. That was stupid. Portland. We're going to talk Diego Rubio.
Thank you.
We brought in the preeminent Diego Rubio guy right here. And we're going to get into this busy stretch coming up for the Pids. Busy. And what are they going to do with it?
Just how I like my Pids. Busy.
Yeah. Busy
With
Pids.
lots to talk about.
Yeah. And then, are they going to mix up the lineup? Are we going to go for it? How does the cup game fit into that? And we'll kind of analyze all that and get into it. And then at the end, we might get into some gambling picks because you can't have Juanners on and not talk some gambling. So
Absolutely.
With that, not Charlotte, Portland comes in. It is the Turkey Day revenge game. Rapids prevailed 2-0. Could have been 4 or 5-0, it felt like. There is a goal disallowed on a corner from Jonathan Lewis touching the goalie on the touchline. And I was like, we were talking about it on press row a lot.
You guys were.
Yeah, it's true. You were down there screaming your head off, ripping your shirt off, going crazy with the C38 guys. But you definitely, I think, had the best analysis of what you saw in that play. Do you want to kind of break that down and what you saw on the disallowed goal from Lawless?
Yeah, sure, Mitch. So first of all, Jonathan Lewis, I think, is clearly in an offside position. I think there was initially some confusion because you legally can't be offside per the law of the game. You can't be offside on a corner. Fun fact, you also can't be offside on a throw-in. A lot of people don't actually know that. But at the point of contact with Lawless making the header, Jonathan Lewis is in an offside position. The only player he is closer to the end line, that he is further away from the end line than for the Portland Timbers, is the goalkeeper. And then at that point, there's a question of, obviously, Jonathan Lewis does not touch the ball. Does he involve himself in the play enough to have an effect on it, or is his positioning such that the goalkeeper has to account for that a possibility for indirect offsides, which we do not see a whole lot? I think is a fascinating referee decision or subjective decision that can be made. But as we heard from my pool reporter question that I sent out to MLS, Colorado Rapids player Jonathan Lewis was in an offside position when Lawless Abubakar headed the ball, and Mr. Lewis's proximity to the goalkeeper and physical contact with the goalkeeper before the ball gets there. It was a pretty decent box out given the height difference between Johnny. And then obviously he clearly steps on the foot of Ivacic before he is able to make the save. So, and his physical contact with the goalkeeper meant that he was guilty of the offense of offsides, interference with the opponent. I know Rapid's Twitter was upset when the call initially was made in real time. They were upset after the game. Mitch, the officials got it right.
No,
Yay,
they
VAR.
got it right. They got it right. Mr. Lewis, though, I don't think Yaya was calling him Mr. Lewis after that play.
Apparently Armando Villarreal was referring to him as Mr. Lewis. So.
I think Yaya had a much more choice selection of words for Jonathan Lewis.
I was okay with it. I was okay with the call. He was aggressive, but it is what it is. Like I can't get mad at that.
So it continues 0-0, and then we get Diego Rubio steps up on a free kick just outside the box, puts it right over the wall, perfectly bent into the corner. Ivacic didn't even bother moving because he couldn't have got there if he tried. On replay, I think they could have probably set up their wall a little better. I think Ivacic could have set himself up a little better to defend that, but at the end, he wouldn't have been able to get to it, right? So great goal from Rubio. The best goal I've seen this season from him. Probably the best Rapids goal this season, or close to it. I mean,
Maybe. I remember when it was given the free kick, I said, "This is going in."
there you go.
Like, I looked to the person to my left. We were, jumping around. I said, "This is going in. This is going in right here." And then, sure enough, I was looking at it. I saw it float itself into the goal. And when Diego Rubio scores, I'm the loudest person in 238. So I made sure everyone knew who it was. So
it was a gorgeous ball. I thought that was going to sort of break the dam, so to speak. I really expected them to get another one before half and put the game away early. Portland really didn't have it going.
No, and I think when you have a club like Portland, they obviously like a club right now marred in controversy. With anything in football, the controversy, sometimes if it's too much, it really does impact the field of play, the level, the game. And so I've taken it upon myself to watch some Portland games throughout, the MLS season. And, they're just an easy team to bet against because right now they're just dealing with a lot. They don't have an out-and-out striker right now that they can rely on for goals. And so, I mean, tough break for Portland. Yeah. They are a playoff team, unfortunately, when we came up against them, but not so much a dominant season team.
No. One, it's not just the issues that they've had from a legal standpoint, but it's also the injuries they've had. This game was a game of the walking wounded, and for me, it was going to come down to which team was able to better deal with their issues. The Portland Timbers were a shell of themselves defensively in the middle of the park without Diego Chara. And then Brian Acosta, I thought, was absolutely fantastic staying in for the captain, Jack Price. Mitch, I'm sure, as we'll get into it. Anthony Kaye put his stamp on the game. And the other question I had defensively, what was Colorado going to look like given the recent absences of Danny Wilson? One, I think you're the captain and I'm the co-captain on the SS Diego Rubio is good. I'm the captain and you're the co-captain on the SS Scottish Salmon.
I don't know about that. I think I charge both of those boats, sir.
Whoa!
You charge both of those boats?
There's a mutiny on the Scottish Salmon.
I wrote the definitive 3,000-word piece on the turnaround of...
When was this?
When was
Because I was at the turnaround. I said, this dude's going to turn it around, and he did.
Middle of 2020.
Look, you guys are both fully on that train.
I have the receipts.
But the defense held strong. Very few chances. Honestly, the chances were Jonathan Lewis, and he wasn't finishing them coming out of the half. You kept pointing out the XG he wasn't putting in when we were sitting up there.
Yeah, you had the whole 90 minutes. Yimi Chara was basically invisible.
Yeah.
Nijs Goda won. I mean,
locked him down.
Yeah, so they didn't give him any space. I thought Austin Trusty was fantastic. I thought William Yarbrough was much better in terms of communicating and dealing with things.
Yep.
Portland didn't have anything from a transition game. And again, I guess as a polar opposite to the playoff game, you score 20 minutes in on a goal that gets disallowed. A few minutes later, Diego Rubio rightfully puts the Rapids up a goal. At that point, Portland's game plan is completely out of the water because they can't sit back and just counter. They have to come out of their shell. They weren't able to muster anything even with the numbers further forward, and it only made them more hollow and exposable in transition, as we saw on the second goal as well. So I thought the Rapids handled it fantastically. Brian Acosta was great. Defense on the whole was much, much better. The Rapids dealt with their injuries and took their chances. The Portland Timbers did neither of those things.
Absolutely, yeah. And then, the biggest takeaway beyond those things you just said is the missed chances from probably Lewis, which led up to the turning point that you wrote so eloquently in your headline was the second yellow card for Rubio on a late challenge near the out of bounds line. Definitely the way he was calling the game, there was no way he wasn't going to get a second yellow for that. He exploded on the sideline, had to be pulled back.
He exploded on Twitter after the game.
Within 30 seconds of the final whistle, goes on Twitter, tags MLS, all that. And all of a sudden you're like, man, it's only 1-0. We have all these missed chances. We have a goal literally pulled back on a bad offsides by Lewis. Now it's 1-0. Is this back to the slide? Is this a draw? Is this a loss? Like, what is going to happen? And the attack just doesn't stop down a man at all.
Yeah,
more
I was
chances,
about to say.
more chances.
We
more
looked
chances.
real good up, like, down a man. Than we
Absolutely.
did. And I think my main issue was when Price went out in the Charlotte game, you can easily see our production go down. Like, and that was my main concern is, what does this team look like without Jack Price? And to have Brian Acosta step up. I mean, this has always been a team of, like, next guy up, step up, and, like, you know, and it's good to see, like, from a fan perspective that we still have that even down probably, I always say, is our best player is Jack Price. You know, without him, kind of lose a lot of the spine, a lot of the production, a lot of the he wins the ball back brilliantly and sets up our guys for great chances. Without him, it was kind of nervous, you know, but, you know, with Brian Acosta in there, did really well. And it's been a while since we had seen him. We're always like, I thought this dude was going to be, like Mac, Acosta, and Price. And it's really not been that case. It's just been Acosta, like, when is this dude going to get in? And now he's in. Played a solid game.
And particularly, I thought his set pieces were really good. I think you and me and Brendan looked at each other as they're setting up that corner, like, who's taking this corner? Brendan's like, I didn't see any set piece taking at training. And we're like, okay, I guess it's Acosta. And he puts it right on Lawless's head for what should have been a goal.
Yeah.
So no doubt that he can fill in if he misses some more time.
We wanted to see Brian help us with the build-out and defensively take care of who their highest midfielder was. He did a great job closing things down with the ball. He was very efficient. Can't say enough about his game. He did really well. Robin Fraser, end quote. Could not have said it better myself.
Boom.
Well, I do like to say,
You guys got Happy Robin in that press conference.
it is Portland. I want to see if Brian can do this. Maybe not Brian, but if Jack comes back, then it's like, okay, the one-off Brian Acosta game. But if he's back for the next game, you know, like, I think the next game's against San Jose, right? Probably another team that we should comfortably beat. But after that, it's LAFC, I believe, right after San Jose. So if Brian Acosta can do it and do it against an LAFC side, then that's how I know, like, okay, this guy's kind of the real deal when it comes to, you know, Jack Price missing out on the 11.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he had a great game. I also thought who had a great game, and he came in for max in the 55th, so before the Rubio ejection, was Barrios. Barrios came in and controlled that entire right side up to and including the stoppage time assists where he was completely wide open into a completely wide open Mac who buried it. But even down a man, it was all him on that right side.
This was Michael Barrios at his best against a team that is not set up to deal with that kind of play in transition, deal with his speed, and deal with how much space they had. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. One, I'll say off the top of my head, his best substitute performance of the season, but obviously, you know, he gets it to Anthony Kaye for the goal, but he had several other very, very good dimes, and, you know, maybe we're breathing easily in the 80th minute if Jonathan Lewis converts that chance that he has 68th, maybe in the 70th or so, but you know, he was the catalyst for that, and I think finally Barrios, from a substitution standpoint, was put in a position to be successful because his style of play and what the Rapids were trying to do fit the game state, because the Rapids are up a goal, Portland is up a man. That fitted almost better to kind of flip how things were in the first half where the Rapids were on the front foot. So Portland had more of the ball, but they weren't doing anything with it, and as soon as the Rapids got the ball, it was chaos, and that horseman of the apocalypse was my guy, Mikey Barrios.
Yeah, I'm just wondering when this dude's going to get a goal. He's due for a goal.
Oh, yeah, he has 4 assists now, I think, on the season, no goals.
Which is very good.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we got some, you know, level of production. It's not 2021 Michael Barrios. That was kind of I don't want that to be just a one-off season. I want to see Michael Barrios really be a dominant right-hand winger where it's like, oh, goals can come from the right-hand side. It can come from Diego Rubio. Lewis, maybe not so much. It's still TBD at this point if he's going to be missing chances like that. But I think this team is a solid winger away if Robin wants to play, keep the 5-2-3. Otherwise, I think this team goes back into a 5-3-2. What do you think?
I think 5-3-2 makes the most sense if you want Rubio and Zardes together up top.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about that on Twitter right after the trade. I liked the 4-3-3 they rolled out. I don't know if it was. I mean, that's what that's what Omar was saying to us. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a straight 4-3-3, but for the most part, I think you would classify it as such. Obviously, you can't deny that they were in control of the game, so that worked. So you can't be mad about that. And I think you kind of roll with Frazier and what he's feeling. Like, like he trusts those back 4 or 5. So, I mean, where's your head at with that, Matt? I mean,
the only other one that I think is kind of interesting. I mean, I think it's for right now. It could be 3-5-2, 5-3-2. I guess 5-3-2 on the road, 3-5-2 at home. I think the only other one that's kind of interesting is in the summer once we lose Austin Trusty after July 17th. Does Viacia or does one of the other center backs end up being a viable option to maintain that back 3? And if it doesn't, in which case I think you comfortably go 4-2-3-1, at which case then you have Zardes and Rubio kind of mimicking the Kai Kamara, Diego Rubio relationship of 2019. You could have Barrios on the right. You could put Max at the left wing spot. You could put Kaye in that. You could do a few different things with that, since Juan and I think we're increasingly worried about where Jonathan Lewis's ear is going at this point. And then you'd have Jack Price, and you could put, depending on the game state or the opponent or what you want to do tactically, you could do a double pivot with Price and Warner, Price and Ali Laraz if he comes back from injury. You could do it with Brian Acosta as well. I think there's more flexibility. There's more circular pegs that fit into the circular hole that is a 4-2-3-1 than there are square pegs that fit into the 3-5-2. I would agree with both of you, though. I think for right now and post-Trusty, if Viacia is going on the trajectory that I believe that he is based on the 2-3 games that he's had since then, I think that will be the most common setup that we see in the Rapids and will put them in the best position to be successful.
And, speaking of Viacia, they go from the 4-3-3 back to that 5 line on the back, pulling Lewis, bringing in Moore and Viacia. And I thought Viacia, it was 15 minutes, but I thought they were really good 15 minutes. I think his highlight, though, was a clearance right off of Keegan's face, right?
I didn't see it.
But, because it was on the other end from you
why.
guys. He had a nice clearance, like a great defensive play to clear the ball. It just happened to go right into his teammate's grill. But for the most part, I thought he's really shown out well in the last few matches. Physically, you can see it, especially when that back line is kind of even with where the media sits, where we are. He is so imposing and just seems like another level athlete on the field compared to almost everyone else.
I think it's a really good thing. It's a really good sign for me, given that he had kind of, at the time of the trade from Cincinnati, he was dealing with a little bit of an injury. And so the fact that he's kind of fitted in and every single game that he's gotten more minutes, shows to me that from a health standpoint, he's catching up, and from a fitness standpoint, he's catching up. And we've also seen from players that the Colorado Rapids bring in either from MLS or abroad. Viacia, you could crudely say, 1 year in Cincinnati, to the extent that that's significant, is that sometimes you have to prove yourself a little bit early. Mark Anthony Kaye comes in and he immediately starts. Why? Because he's proven himself with Robin Frazier. That was not a foregone conclusion, but that was immediately evident. Brian Galvan took a little bit of time. Jonathan Lewis, I don't know if that's a good example because Lewis was already on the team. Lucas Estevez took a little bit of time. Ali Laraz, took a year training with the team while not signed yet with the team, with the first team and everything. The fact that Viacia is in there shows that he is the easiest next post-Trusty option. That gives me hope.
He's a beast.
Dude, he is.
I love Viacia. I remember when we signed him, there was not that much fanfare. Definitely not as much to when we signed Zardes, because everyone really wanted that striker. But no one's thinking what happens when Trusty's gone, right? And to see Viacia come in, man, and I was buzzing about it. I felt like the only guy that was buzzing about it when that happened. So
I didn't know enough about him. I'll be honest. I did not watch a lot of Cincy. I didn't watch him in Cincy.
Right. Well,
I don't think many people did.
You saved yourself a lot of disappointing.
Well, here's all you need to know. Cincy's best results were when Viacia was on the pitch.
Retweet.
So you need to. That's all you needed to really know is that that dude is a stud.
Yeah. No,
Best results, and then also won playing in a back three. And Viacia was where on that back three?
He's the left center back.
Where
despite being
Trusty.
right-footed.
Yep.
Despite everyone was like, this guy's a right-footed center back. He's not going to do anything. I was like, look at the game logs, look at where he plays in the system, and just watch film. He's good on both feet, right?
Yeah.
But he's just. I think his ceiling is higher than Trusty's.
Ooh. I mean, I can't say you're wrong just based on physicality alone.
Yeah.
He's younger than Trusty, which I think is the significant variable for me in agreeing with you on.
So, I mean, he's an under 22 signing. It was a great signing. I think it'll prove to be a better signing than the Zardes one.
Yeah.
Personally speaking, just because I see the upside in a young 22 Ecuadorian possible international over, Zardes, who's like, we know what he's about. We know that he can potentially score goals, but he's at his ceiling, really.
So Viacia comes on with more. I was a little nervous watching Lawless leave in that swap, but to go back to the 5, felt like, okay, we're going to shell up. Attack continues, right? They still have the 1-0 lead. Portland has one great chance, and it was Loria who put Loria, sorry. Loria put the worst shot on a ball I have ever seen.
We did see that.
It looked like a FIFA glitch.
It was a really good.
we saw that.
McManus would have been proud of that field goal.
We saw that on our side of the C38 because how could you not? You see a player. Anytime you see a player shoot, I mean, there's a lot of bodies in the way from our section, but you can clearly saw that ball just.
It's like he was kicking up to the beer stand up on the walkway above the goal.
Yeah. He's aiming for the old cannon that used to be there.
Dude,
at big Sporting Goods Park
it was hilarious. And they so you're like, okay, they're shelled back. They're going to hold down. They started milking the clock. Yarbrough gets the yellow and extras. They're milking the clock like dairy farmers. They're doing whatever they can.
And what was it, like 7 minutes?
It was 7 minutes of stoppage.
I saw that. I was like, dude, I thought I was done capping. I have to keep going.
All of that roaming on the right side that Barrios was allowed to do. He got even more open than he had been the whole night. K trails, gets the ball right outside the box, tucks it in the left corner, 2-0 Rapids.
Nice
they get
finish.
their revenge. It was a perfect finish. We just watched the highlights before we went live here. Can't ask for much more. Yaya, did that refill the tank? Is Yaselina full?
It never left, man.
Yeah, right.
I was not panicking as much as
I know you weren't. I know you weren't.
It is what it is. My if I had a full tank, I maybe had wasted a quarter tank.
Sure.
Now I'm like at a full tank with
tank and then some. Yeah.
two gallons in the back, waiting for it to refill.
What's the price on Yaselina right now?
So if you're trying to buy some gasolina, man, it's inflated because of the war.
Sure.
So you're looking more like around $4 or $5 per gallon.
Wow, dude.
But it's a worthwhile investment.
I don't think so.
The least of it.
Yeah,
It's worthwhile.
man.
It keeps going and it rarely runs out.
Is it worth more than Serrera MLS fan cash right now, Juan?
I think a lot of things are, if I'm honest.
Can I buy some Yaselina when we lose to RSL away?
Yes, you can. And
Okay.
it's still going to be here, and I'll tell you.
It won't tank a little bit?
It won't tank.
Okay. Just
At
good to
this
know.
point, it's Rio Tinto's Rio Tinto. You can't do much about it.
So all in all, I mean, they get the 3 points. They end the slide. They keep the streak at home going at 21 games. Yarbrough gets the shutout wearing the captain's band. Is there a negative?
There is a negative.
What's the negative?
So not only did Lewis miss a chance, so too
3 or 4 chances, yeah.
did Gyasi Zardes.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of sitting there, as an avid MLS watcher, I've seen Zardes miss a sitter against New York Red Bulls. Could not have had it any clearer. I wouldn't call this a sitter, but this is one that, and we can probably talk about this now. This is one that if Rubio misses, everyone's lambasting him for missing it. But I think a lot of fans are willing to give Zardes a pass.
I'm going to give him till his 3rd or 4th
I'll
game,
give him
probably.
a pass, but do be warned that this is his MO, is missing sitters.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like you're giving him a pass, Juan.
Yeah, this sounds like not a pass.
All the yellow cards, and I put that more on. I think the officiating put itself in a bad position by setting a precedent early with the ticky-tack fouls and then determining what the threshold for a yellow card was. And I think in that you kind of also lose. These are two relatively physical teams. These are two teams that do not like each other, and these are two teams where one of them, as Austin Trusty said, post game, Mitch, that the pain from losing to them in the playoffs still hurt. It was a motivating factor. They talked about it in the pregame huddle before kickoff. They wanted to go out there and kick Portland's butts. How are you shocked then that it's a physical game? After the whistle, everybody's getting into it. Austin Trusty headbutts the goalkeeper, and they get into it, and they have to get celebrated.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. But then
that was awesome.
Those are both yellow cards. They're 11 yellow cards that were handed out in total, and I have to start to wonder. The Rapids tend to lean into that and almost being like a villain or a heel in MLS that is so their true selves in what this team is, but still gets them in trouble. And I would have liked to see a better understanding. Okay, this is how the game is going to get called. Instead of getting yellow card happy in the 70th minute, he's getting yellow card happy in the 7th minute. Let's somehow, do we have another gear or something else that we can shift in how we play our game, still be physical and not put ourselves in that position? And in that, it was kind of inevitable that somebody was going to put themselves in a position to be difficult. And fittingly, it was Diego Rubio. We're not mad about it, obviously, because of the result. But if this situation comes up again, I don't know that I've seen enough evidence from this team under Robin Fraser that they can make that adjustment to not put themselves in trouble.
So you think Rapids played heel past Saturday?
Do I think the Rapids played heel past Saturday? No. I think no. The officiating was the heel in that analogy, Juan. But
right.
The Rapids wound up and they fed into it. It was a positive feedback loop.
Yeah.
And I think if they had stepped back a little bit in the second half, maybe they wouldn't have gotten the red card, and I think they would have put themselves in a better position. It would have been from a performance standpoint, a comfortable 1-0 win. I don't know that I would have preferred that to the 2-0 the way that it
with
happened.
With a red, yeah.
But I want to believe that this has to be a lesson learned for when you go to the LA Galaxy or you go to Seattle Sounders or you go to NYCFC and the officiating is going to be tight or the officiating is going to
sway
be a certain way.
Not insinuating anything, but
yes,
no, never.
To be able to adjust to that and kind of recognize that and then make an adjustment rather than just say we're going to lean into who we are, even if it's potentially self-destructive. And that very well against a better team, down a man for 30 minutes on a Saturday with 8 minutes of stoppage time could have been a disaster.
I think your analysis is very solid, and I tend to agree. But the monkey part of my brain is just so willing to default to ref bad, my team good, ref bad. So I said I agree, but okay.
I'm here for Rapids thug life, but I think there's a time and a place for it, and I don't know that the place for it was in the 63rd minute on a late sliding tackle on Van Rankin at the touchline on Saturday.
Nope, you're right.
As bad as that was, I do like that they were able to keep the pressure on with 10 men on.
Yes.
So that's the thing. If they could keep that going, I'm all for it playing with 10 men all the time.
Yeah.
This team does play well with 10 men. I don't get it.
Yeah, they do. I think one thing I want to touch on before we move on to our next topic, but we talked about Barrios coming in and having a great 30-plus minutes. He replaced Max, who didn't get on the score sheet, didn't have an assist, but I thought had his most productive 60 minutes with the team that he's had so far. He put some nice little touches on the ball, that sauce that we were expecting.
That we're missing.
Yeah, there was just some little little touches that moved a defender one way, got open, got some crosses open, got some through balls open. I was really impressed with Max. And I mean, we haven't seen that much of him, right? So you have to only compare to what you've seen.
Yeah.
But from what I saw, we got some sauce. We got some of that Brazilian sauce. I liked it.
I think the team is still missing. I mean, if you think that the Max sauce is good, we're definitely missing it in Galvan. We just don't have that player right now. I mean, I think Barrios has some of that in a different way. Where
it's not the same though. It's not the fluid touches where you're wrapping back and forth.
I think the word is finesse.
Yes,
and
finesse,
Jonathan Lewis did have some of those finesse.
He did
a little bit.
Too.
I mean,
he had a couple of them where I was like, oh shit, where did that come from, Lewis?
Yeah, I like to see that. I mean, as much as I dog on Lewis, I did see a lot of good forward momentum and pushing the ball up real nicely that we just haven't had since Galvan's injury. But I like that from Max. I think we've been missing that.
Yeah, I mean, do you have any thoughts on Max?
I mean, just this game was a fantastic next man up between him. What I thought that Mark Anthony Kaye did as well.
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously Brian Acosta as well in the midfield. I mean, we can throw Gus in there as well. It was an all around, other than Diego Rubio's one stupid moment. I thought it was an overall great performance from the 11 and then ultimately the 10.
Also, I think another good stint. I mean, Beta Shore gave 80 good minutes.
Dude, I love Beta Shore.
Beta had a great match.
Me and Jared always say he's the consummate professional. He will always, and there's a reason why he finds himself on the best teams in MLS year in, year out. I mean, before us, he was at the Toronto MLS Cup winning side, and then he was at the Supporters Shield winning LAFC. Now he found himself on the Rapids, who are first in the West last year. This dude is you need him on your team, not only for the culture kind of thing that he brings on, but he's just a really solid guy. I never have any issues of Beta Shore's in the lineup. It's oh no, we're good. We don't have Estevez. All right, we got Beta Shore. Yeah. Now if we lose Beta Shore, we're slim pickings at the left. But
he's a 6 years older Iranian variant of Keegan Rosenberry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I think so. Yeah.
But better.
It's Mr.
We're a Keegan podcast. I'm a Keegan podcast.
How many MLS Cups does Keegan have?
Well,
how many Supporters Shields does Keegan have?
Yeah, you also don't quantify how good a player is by how much the team won. You quantify how they play.
It's part of it. It is part of it.
It is part of it, but you can't really just look at one another and be oh, you got more Supporter Shields?
Come on, tell me not. Beta Shore is proven himself a lot more than Keegan.
Dude, I love Beta Shore. I'm not knocking on Beta Shore. I just don't think he's better than Keegan. And I love Beta Shore. I'm a big Beta Shore guy. I'm with everything you said about Beta Shore. I completely agree.
Guy,
I mean, Beta follows me on Twitter. Keegan doesn't. So that's what we're resulting it to.
Neither of them follow me on Twitter, and I'm still trying. But I got Porter Smith's follow, so it's all good.
All right, well,
moving on.
Yeah, that's gonna wrap up the recap there from the Portland game. Great 3 points. My notes here say, and this is why I asked Juanners to come on, the Rubio agenda.
Let's go.
And
Matt is on there too.
Oh, Matt's in on the Rubio agenda.
He's on the Rubio agenda. Yeah. He's signed on.
Co-sign.
Yeah.
We got to talk about it, man. He's on pace for 20 goals right now. He's on pace for 20 goals.
It's technically 19.5 because math, but okay.
Look, you know what? I'm not.
We can round up to 20. It's fine.
Yeah, we round up. We're giving him the benefit that he'll just sneak an extra one in there somehow.
I think he will.
Whoa. Let's go. All right, we're starting this off hot, baby. Let's go. Let's go, Juanners.
What did I say last time I was here?
I mean, you picked him for the boot for the team. Yeah.
For a goal. I said on this podcast, Rubio's going to score 10 goals. We're halfway there. Not even at the midpoint of the season.
Not even. We're at the quarter mark.
Yeah. So I just want to come on here because I heard people say Juanners is drunk. He's dumb. He's not going to happen. So I feel vindicated. He's not there yet, but slowly but surely we're getting to the Juanners big ol' I told you so.
To be fair, Juanners was drunk.
No, I wasn't.
But he made a really good prediction.
That is not true. I had one beer, dude. On the Comunicaciones game, I came here.
Oh, true.
It was. I say drunkenly all the time he's going to score at the tailgate.
Yeah, you do.
And I bet on it.
Yeah.
And today, this year's
my
been
favorite
the most
bet
returns.
is Rubio anytime with a Rapids money line.
Yeah.
It's a great, it always pays out plus 500 or better.
Yeah.
And the money line part hasn't been great, but the Rubio anytime goal scorer part has been really good.
You can also get Rubio plus assist. I think plus 700, and it's really good.
I think any of us can say, oh yeah, I've always liked Rubio. I could have seen this coming. Outside of Juanners, I don't think anyone was as high on Rubio being this much of a goal contributor this
or
early.
The guy.
Or the nine.
I was on him. He needed to be the guy.
Yeah, but no one said that.
I think we did say that here on our season preview pod. We said can he be the guy? Yeah, we'll probably wait until July. Find a 9.
Yeah.
See who's out of it. See who's willing to sell. See who wants to rebuild. We'll get a 9 then, like we did last year with Badgie.
Yeah.
I mean, adding Zardes is great, obviously, but Rubio, you almost can say like, well, we didn't really need him.
Yeah,
we need to go get Zardes because Rubio is scoring like a true 9.
I think the main. I love the 5-2-3. I love how it plays. When we were here, we were watching the Nuggets, Avs, and Rapids play. When I was watching the Rapids play in the 5-2-3 at Minnesota, I thought they played amazing. I thought they were. You look at the game flow, you look at their expected goals. They were moving real fluidly. Rubio got the goal. I mean, what ended up being our downfall was a defense in those games, and you look there, Estevez has a bigger production rate than Lewis at this point, and you can't account for Estevez being the main left winger and the main left wing back, so there's obviously going to be a hole in the defense. Maybe now Lewis might step up, but I always felt that the Rapids should have made a signing for a winger. Now we have a striker that kind of changes the dynamics. I've always said Rubio's always best as like a Robin to his Batman. I think Zardes is Rubio's Robin to Rubio's Batman. You know,
where's Lau? Where's Lewis?
Where?
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Diego Rubio's been extremely healthy this year for a good 6 months now. If we're talking about going back into preseason, and I don't know that he had that last year, and he's had other struggles with that at inconvenient times in the past. I think that the preseason conversations they had about what they wanted to do and some little nuanced changes with what Rubio was doing in his role, either as a target forward or now what he's going to be able to do, and I think his best and most freeing role of being able to be a little bit further deeper as a false 9, be cantankerous in a defensive setup, fits him to a T. And so I think he's coming focused. I think he's coming healthy. He's coming fit. And as soon as he started scoring in preseason, I think that fit in the confidence. And I think that's only started to build even more. And he is a kind of, I think of all the attacking players that the Rapids have, I think he's the most downhill in terms of when he's feeling himself and it's validated by what he's doing, by his stats and by the coaching staff and everything. He just goes out there and is unapologetically himself, and he wrecks everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And it shows in the stats. I mean, as much as we don't have like the numbers that Driussi or Sebastian Ferreira or Jesus Jimenez of the all guys ahead of him, maybe even like a Tati Castellanos, right? He's got 5 on the season. It's still a very solid 5. He leads MLS in goals added. Now, if you don't know what goals added, it's individual actions within a game that leads to your team getting goals, okay? So to lead the league, last year, you know who led the league in goals added?
No.
After about 9 or 8 games? It was Andreu Fontas, who's a center back, but right behind him was Daniel Shallowy, all right? Okay, Shallowy at that point had 6 goals, 2 assists, and now I've always said it. I said it this year. Rubio's going to be the comeback player of the year because he's going to come out and explode, and there's always that potential, right? So now you compare those two. If Rubio has the season that Shallowy had last season, there's no doubt in my mind that this team is well equipped to make a nice solid run at the MLS Cup.
And I think the other thing that's been really encouraging for me, albeit to an extent discouraging for Barrios and certainly from a Lewis perspective, is how goal dangerous Rubio has been. And he's goal dangerous in the build-up play when the team's playing as a team. So he's that finishing product, but he's also been dangerous for himself individually. And so now that other defenses are going to be a little bit more focused on Gyasi Zardes physically because of his positioning and everything, I think there's going to be less focus on Rubio, which is going to then make him even more effective because he has more space. And that's honestly that's been Barrios hasn't been individually dangerous. Rubio or Jonathan Lewis hasn't been finishing his opportunities. Diego Rubio is the only one who's consistently creating opportunities on his own and then finishing the opportunities that the rest of the team has. Yep. And now, like you said, now he gets to be Robin to Batman. The only difference is Batman is Gyasi Zardes instead of Kai Kamara.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to dig in a little more to a plan to sort of supplement and to replace Andre, who left this weekend, and how that plays into this Rubio season moving forward and where Zardes fits into that as well. We do have to talk about our homies over at Vodka TV first.
Okay.
The homies. Do you know that half of Denver just can't watch the Rapids games?
Yes, we know this.
What?
Half of Denver pays for cable Well, half of Denver cable subscribers just can't watch Rapids games. Can you believe that? But you know who can watch Rapids games? The Avaca TV subscribers. The homies.
Tell me
that
more.
listen to this. That go, man, I love that DNVR Rapids show so much. I'm going to watch the Rapids this weekend.
You better.
And then they're like, oh, I can't watch it. I have that competitor that doesn't carry it. So you hit up Avaca TV. They have Altitude. They have AT&T Sportsnet. You're getting Avs, Nuggets, Rapids, Rockies. You're getting Rams coverage. You're getting Pioneer coverage. You're getting all the Denver sports you need. And it is cheap. It is easy. And you get to watch the Rapids. You get to watch the Rapids on your television.
No, like, illegal stream?
No illegal stream. No viruses.
No
No going
VPN?
through. No VPNs. No whatever
So I can
streams
cancel
dot
my
XYZ. Whatever it is, you don't need it. Services available in Denver and in Colorado Springs. You have all your national channels. You have Altitude and AT&T Sportsnet, like I said. And it's really easy to sign up. You go to evaca.tv/DNVR. You hit the promo code DNVR. You get $10 off your first 3 months. That makes it $15 a month. No contracts, no hidden fees. Plus, you got to get the receiver. And that's all you need.
How much is it
So you're
without
talking-
the discount code?
$25 a month.
That's
That
less,
is
that's
cheap
less than the VPN
cable.
I pay for.
There you go.
So-
Cheap cable, and you get to watch the Pids. So shout out to Avaca TV. Thank you for sponsoring us. They sponsor our party buses out of here to the Avs games.
Let's go,
to all
Avaca,
that.
bro.
Yeah, Avaca. Shout out those guys.
I'm gonna get
And
on
thank
that.
you for getting us the Rapids. So we are obviously very pro Rubio here. And you just called a near 20 goal season, or you said 20 goals.
I think so.
You think 2-0 goals at the end of the season.
I said 10, and we're almost there.
There you go.
15 for sure. How about that?
So Zardes coming in, right? Does he, that doesn't drop the count for you at all?
No.
Okay. Matt, where does he, where
I
does,
think
what's the Zardes factor in the number of goals at the end for Rubio?
I think it will be a net decrease in terms of the number of goals he would have scored without Gyasi Zardes on the team. I think it will be a net positive in terms of his goal contributions, in that a lot of these we are going to see Diego Rubio passing the ball to Gyasi Zardes for tap-ins. So I think the question that I really have...
it's flipped?
Yeah.
Other way around.
You think it's the other way around?
Because what will probably end up happening is you got a body like Jaz in the middle, going to float in all these crosses, right? Defender clears it out. Who steps up right there? Fox
Cleanup
in
duty.
the box, cleanup duty.
Yeah.
Diego Rubio. Just the way this team plays, it relies on its wingers a lot more to get the ball in the middle. I mean, Danny Wilson, once he's healthy, he pings the ball out to Lewis, pings the ball out to Barrios, gets it right back into the middle to a looming Zardes, and Zardes, he will probably get to a lot of them, but if he doesn't, who's going to be there is Rubio. That's how I see it, more so of just like a direct attacking play of Rubio one-on-one with the keeper. And between Rubio and Zardes probably has got the better one-on-one with the with keepers than
Yes,
Rubio.
I would agree.
So, I mean, if anything, it's probably going to be Zardes passing the tap into Rubio.
I don't disagree with the fact that this team is still relying on crosses from distance for service, and that will make the team in general will be more effective because it's going to Gyasi Zardes, who's 6'2" and doesn't need to be sneaking in the box to be good on corners, even though Rubio's gotten better at that. I think as we see Max start to get more integrated into the team, then what they're going to be able to do in the middle of the pitch on the ground will also be important, and in that it's ultimately going to link up play ending in Gyasi Zardes scoring goals,
through
like we
balls
saw
to
at the LA
Gyasi
Galaxy,
Zardes, yep.
like we saw at Columbus Crew, like we've seen when he's been effective with the national team because he knows Greg Berhalter's dance moves, like we've seen with Gyasi Zardes on the U.S. men's national team.
Can I ask, how many goals is he going to score with his butt?
How many goals will Gyasi Zardes score with his butt?
He's known for it.
Yes.
Butt goal.
What's the line? Is it 1.5?
I'm
Over.
gonna
It's
say-
probably over under half, right?
Yeah, I would
0.5.
I would put 0.5. Does he get one this year or not?
Yes or no?
Yes.
Why not?
He gets one butt
I want to
goal.
see a butt goal for
Gyasi
sure.
Zardes gets one butt.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to happen. Rubio's going to shoot it, and then he's going to deflect it off his ass.
Off his ass.
So I guess
hockey style, dude.
Yeah, hockey style.
to answer the question directly, Mitch, I think it slightly shifts Diego Rubio's contributions, but his net contribution is going to be better. But now it's just not going to show up. It's going to show up in a different stat line. So for me, I think the more interesting question is how many combined goals do we get between the two, rather than how do the two fit in together to where it affects Gyasi's production relative to what he would have gotten with Columbus versus what Rubio's production would have been without Gyasi Zardes. I don't care about who individually is scoring the goals. This team is still going to be offense by collective. They were last year with Dambaji, they were before Dambaji, and they were this year before Gyasi Zardes, and they will be after Gyasi Zardes.
Yeah.
How are those two combining together? And then ultimately, is there a third key attacking piece that we have? I'm still not convinced that Barrios is going to be what he was in 2021. Juan, as we've talked about, we have concerns about where Jonathan Lewis is right now. Another third attacking option, even if it's just like Lawless getting 4 goals on set pieces, would be nice. I'm far more concerned about that than I am whether it's Rubio passing to Zardes or Zardes passing to Rubio. I realize Juan cares because of how he bets for Rubio goals.
Can I just say, though, can I set the line right now?
Sure.
You guys have to combined goals and assists from Rubio and Zardes.
Okay.
23.5, over or under?
Total combined? Way over.
Okay.
Smash.
26.5.
I would take the over. I'd say it's over 30.
Over 30 goals and assists?
For both goals and assists?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about goals? What if it's 23.5 for goals?
So okay.
That's right around where I think the final number will be.
Zardes goals plus Rubio goals plus Zardes assists plus Rubio assists.
Yeah.
I would have put it right at 26, to be honest.
26?
I would take the over.
I'd flip a coin
yeah.
on your second bet, on your second line in terms of over or under.
I'd take the over, yeah, for sure.
So we get 10, 10, 10 out of, like, does one of them get 10 goals, 10 assists, 10 goals? Or
I'd say
do both of them get 10 goals? That's 20, and then 3, 3?
I don't know if your Rubio number holds true, Zardes doesn't have to get 10 goals to hit that number.
Right.
Because if you say Rubio is in the 17 to 19 range
for goals,
which you are confident in,
I think so.
You add 8 for Zardes,
Then
and all of a sudden you're
over.
around that 25 plus mark. They only need a few assists each.
So when is DraftKings going to give me that line?
I don't know. That's a
I
good
don't know,
good
Juan.
question though.
We need that line.
I take the over now that I think about it because, I think Zardes could give you, like, we're just saying at a bare minimum, like, he gets caught up tactically with the team. He develops chemistry with the team. He's 90 minutes fit. Like, 7 and 3 is like the minimum.
Okay.
And then I already think that Rubio's going to get at least 13 goals. I'd probably put him around 16 if I'm thinking. So on that, even if Rubio doesn't get any other assists.
This guy knows ball.
So Zardes's floor plus where Zardes's floor for total goal contributions and then Rubio's floor just for goals. When I'm already saying that I think it's going to be Rubio assisting to Zardes, I'll take the over on 26.
Nice.
I think the line for me, Juan, would be like 30.5.
I need the Yaya take on this one. Yaya, where you put those two together, what do you expect out of these guys the rest of the season?
I think 30 goals and assists to get combined is pretty reasonable.
That's a pretty easy number.
Yeah, I think it's pretty for goals itself, I'd put it around 20 at 20, 25.
Yeah.
Right in that area. I would actually take the other on 26.5. I think they're going to assist a lot more because of how Matt said it's goal by committee.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's going to be scoring. You've seen Mac have like 3 goals already this season.
Yeah,
too?
so I guess the next question that I have then, Mitch, is in terms of does that make it easier for there to be a third goal option? Like, could Anthony Kaye get like 7 and 7 this year? Because I think if that happens, happens, and if that happens, and this team is again the set piece kings of Major League Soccer, then I don't think there's any question of what this team can do offensively. And the only 2 big questions I have are, what are we doing once the loan expires for Estevez with the option to buy in the summer, and then what is the post-Trusty plan? And if that's simply just plugging in Gustavo Vallecilla into the Austin Trusty vacated big shoes, then I feel so much calmer about where this team is going to be than I felt a month ago.
There you go. All right, I want to throw something at you guys before we get into the schedule talk and maybe possible another piece to add talk. I've been trying to find a nickname, a theme.
You want a relationship name for Zardes and Rubio?
No. We did talk about that at the game, but that's not what I want to do.
It's already
We also have a graphic for it, but don't drop it yet. Hold on one second.
Someone said
we do have a graphic
Zarbia.
for
I was
it,
like,
though.
no.
Rubio.
Okay, so the Rapids they're always a huge kind of island of lost toys situation, right?
Yes.
Like casts off, no one really wants them, but as a collection, they
Goats.
create something great, right?
Amazing.
Rubio sounds a lot like Rufio. So
No.
I am bringing up Rufio and the Lost Boys. Drop it. There it is. That's what I'm talking about, Yaya. My guy on the graphic, Rubio and the Lost Boys.
You really
You
want
seem
that
out.
Rufio chant.
I want it so bad. Rubio.
I don't know, man.
I want it so bad.
As a guy that starts chants, that one's a tough one.
Yeah, well, you know what? You're not the only person that's allowed to chant in that stadium, okay?
No, I know, but
Juanners. God.
if you want to get that chant, you come on down, teach it to everyone, and then everyone will be with you.
What's there to teach? You say his name, but you just say it like Rufio. There's no teaching.
Just that's all I can say, man.
I don't get the reference as much, so I'm like,
One's a baby. He doesn't get it.
Yeah, neither one of you get it. You're children.
Yeah.
I'm
Watch
like,
Hook.
I'm like, okay.
The Lost Boys.
You know
Makes
what?
sense for
I'll
the
try it.
Rapids.
The next game, I'll
Rubio
try
is
it.
leading them. There is no true Peter Pan,
Next home
but
game,
he
we'll
is
try it.
Rufio and he is Rubio. I think it works.
We'll try
Matt,
it next game, okay?
Matt,
Well,
do you think it works?
I think it can. My biggest
I
concern.
tried. Swing and a
He
miss.
doesn't want to tell you it doesn't work.
I know.
My-
That's very
my
nice of you,
biggest
Matt. You're a
concern
sweetheart.
is-
Juanners, you
So
suck,
I'll tell you it
dude.
doesn't work.
You suck. Matt, you're great. Thank you so much for being polite and nice. All right, whatever. On to the next thing.
No, we're gonna do it the next home game.
No, you're not doing anything. You're not allowed. It's my chant. Okay.
I guess you really don't want it then. We could do it. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Cool.
We could
I'm
give
in. Let's do it. Okay. Let's go ahead and I know you have a graphic here that shows the upcoming schedule, the next 5 games, 15 days, starting Saturday. With a cup game there coming up on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a late road game Saturday, cup game
8 p.m.
Tuesday. Yeah. And then LAFC at home the next week at Sporting Kansas City. And then I believe home for the Sounders.
I'll be at that SKC game.
Yeah.
by the
You're
way.
going?
Yeah.
Nice. Love to see that. Here's the thing that has me concerned going into this, and I'm obviously going to ask you guys your takes on it and what you would do, but Wilson hasn't featured. Price hasn't featured. A hamstring is probably the worst thing you could do with a compact schedule like this. You've seen Lucas come on as a sub in the last 2 games. You've seen Barrios have a nice long sub stretch in the last game here. What do you do with the 11 to sort of battle through that stretch? How much does the cup game factor in for you? They've said they're taking it very seriously. I'm sure they want to have a good showing after the CONCACAF showing. Matt, what is your initial read on this stretch and how you approach it?
Well, I think you absolutely go for it against San Jose. I think they're a team that's obviously in a struggling situation because of their manager situation, obviously with getting rid of Matias Almeida. And I mean, just they're a team that's chaotic and that inherently gives up goals. Like this should be multiple tap-in goals
Let's
on
go.
Saturday.
Calvo sucks.
Yes, there's no.
Calvo is trash, bro.
So I don't think there's any concern about that.
That's it. All right, there you go. That's the analysis for the game.
Okay. Yes.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
I'm wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
At all. No.
If Nathan starts, it's the problem. If Calvo starts, easy dub.
Yes. Okay.
Wow.
So I think
Yeah.
you take care of that in terms of San Jose. Look,
Sure.
I get it, Rapids fans. That the team historically has not done well in the Open Cup. You're playing Minnesota, where there's some bad blood there on top of what happened a couple weeks ago when you played them in league play and everything. Rotate the squad, focus on the LAFC game on
Absolutely.
the weekend. LAFC is also going to have an Open Cup game because they advanced as well. So both teams are going to be in the same situation. I think you roll out some hybrid of Rapids 2 in there.
Thank you. I was gonna say that.
Yeah, maybe you give Yapi a start, for example.
Yo,
I
yes.
think-
Please.
Toure, Mayaka, Yapi,
Yes.
Get
all the
Yaya's
rap
guy
kids, bro.
Yaya out there, dude.
I think give Colin Warner some time, give Sebastian Anderson, maybe a Mike Edwards some time. I think you
That-
put Clint Irwin in goal.
That one's a random one. Mike Edwards, because we were sold on him being like a really good guy. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing Mike Edwards either.
Yeah, so I think you give them
I'd
a
love
run
to
out.
see
I think you
Mayaka
focus
too.
on.
Love to see Mayaka.
I think you focus on LAFC, and I think there's a motivating factor given what happened in the opening weekend of the season, and I think this team's gradually made progress towards being better. I think where things are interesting from that LAFC game standpoint is that Steve Cherundolo's been better at adjustments than he has at first game, at starting lineup game plans, and they've also been extremely effective on set pieces. So it's kind of it's a battle of strength versus strength in that situation, albeit one at altitude. We'll see where Seattle Sounders are depending on what happens in the next couple of hours and where they are injury emotionally after what happens in Champions League. And then Juan, what was the other? And then the other game was Sporting Kansas City. I think you have to go in there and you have to go for a win because you're playing two relatively weak teams. You're playing two relatively maintained teams. So I guess if you'd say, I think. So we're just talking about the MLS games in that stretch. You beat San Jose, you beat Sporting Kansas City, and then I'll take a win and a loss or two draws between LAFC and Seattle, and I think you're probably okay going into June.
So we actually talked about it on the C38 podcast.
Shout out C38 podcast.
Yeah, the C38 podcast, which I run with my co-host Jared. He's been on here a bunch of times.
Last week, wearing the jacket.
The C38 jacket?
The red. No, like his beautiful burgundy suit jacket.
Yeah. He shows out sometimes. But what we discussed is of the 7 games, and this was we included Charlotte and Portland. So of the 7 games, and now the Seattle's the 7th of that. So now we put it around at like 14 points, 15 points, and so ideally what you wanted was of those 7 games, 5 were at home, so you wanted home wins, right? So that's you
have 4 out of 2 so far.
Yeah. So I mean, if we have if we show up at home, go against an LAFC squad, hopefully it's a lot better than the not rotated side, but that team that went into LAFC had played on the Wednesday prior. So no doubt in my mind the Rapids were not looking forward to starting the season at LAFC. I think it's a different one at home, but you have 2 teams in San Jose and Kansas City who are not on the best of form right now. You take advantage of that. Now, in years prior, I'd always say the Rapids are the slump busters, meaning if a team is on a negative skid of games, it's like,
get right against the Rapids.
We got the Rapids.
Yep.
Last year, there was none of that.
No, it's fortress right now, man.
This year, I want to see us keep that trend of, no, you're not getting an easy one on the Rapids. And against SKC, against San Jose, it should be a walk in the park, honestly, against those 2 teams. And last year, we're not saying that because
that's scary.
SKC was this dominant team. Now they're plagued by injuries. They don't have Gadi Kinda, who's officially out for the rest of the season. Shallowy and Russell have been shelves of their former selves.
Terrible.
They lost Pulido. Their new guy Vujanovic is not he's not acclimated at all to the league. So SKC are down bad right now. I think San Jose are always down bad. That really leaves Seattle, as you said. We still don't know how they are emotionally. Maybe a couple of weeks removed from this game, they'll want to get right against the Rapids. But LAFC is the only tough one I see in that one. And, of course, the Minnesota midweek game. Let me see the kids, bro. Let me see the Rap kids. Let me see, honestly, if it's a Rapids 2 heavy lineup, I don't care. I mean, I love the Open Cup, but this is just not a tournament team at the moment.
Avenge your father against the baby loons.
Yep. That's what I'm saying.
I guess, okay, so the only thing I thought going into this that might be a question, and Matt and Juanners both probably have a better read on this, but do you want to maybe alternate Rubio and Zardes to kind of keep them fresh after the Cup game for that little 3-in-a-week stretch? And maybe plan on them both starting the third of that stretch, let one maybe come off the bench each game.
I don't think you have one start for the other and then the other sub in for them. I think if anything, you do a little bit of rotation.
Sure,
where
I just mean in terms of minutes played.
I don't think you have in the next 5 games Rubio and Zardes both play 90 minutes 5 times.
Right,
if that's what you're asking.
Right.
So I think they'll be starting the majority of the time, and then you do some change in shape or something to to allow them to rotate. And maybe that's both of them starting one game, and then one of them being subbed off in the 60th minute. Maybe it's one starting and then one starting going 90, one coming off the bench and playing 45, or 30 minutes or so, but I think you want to get them as much playing time together because this is the future of your attack for this season. These are a lot of games to get a lot of film, make a lot of adjustments, and try some things out to be firing on all cylinders come June 1st.
So long as I get my Rubio goal in Kansas City against Kansas City, he kisses the badge, flips off all the fans, does the Ronaldo Sue. I don't care how you rotate them. Just give me the Rubio goal in Kansas City. That's because I'm going to be there. So I want to.
You want your guy. You're the guy.
Yeah.
That's our guy.
But I think you're right. I don't think you anticipate Rubio's Zubio to start all the time, and so like this is going to have to. It's how it's going to have to be until these guys are on a like week to week basis.
Fair. Yeah, and it was just one of those things. It's like I think if you have a fully healthy squad behind them, you might be able to get away with giving Rubio a day off or giving Zardes a day off and just kind of resting through that. But if you're not rolling out Price and Wilson, and so already you're down the bench further, it's probably not even an option.
Well, it's also tough because I've always said our season hinges a lot on Anthony Kaye's success as a player, because a lot of stretches you see the Rapids, at times they can play really like lifeless. And I've always said, so long as we're winning unexpected goals, I'll take the team kind of contribution of, despite, like you look at the FC Dallas game, the Minnesota game, despite losing, the Rapids were never really out, right? And then unfortunate as it was, they conceded 3 on low XG. That's still fine because it shows that the Rapids didn't just, bunkered for the sake of bunkering. I think you might see some of that on this stretch because you're going to get tired legs. But overall, I think if you have Mack in there cooking stuff up in the midfield, you should be good with any front three, really.
Cool. Last thing we should touch on before we're out of here for the night. Obviously, the Andre Shinyashiki trade is official. News got leaked Friday about it being possible. He goes to Charlotte for $225 in guaranteed GAM. Is that right? And then now $175 in incentives, plus 50% of any future sale on that, which pretty good negotiation there by Porg, I think.
Always.
Because if that is a guy who one-time MLS Rookie of the Year, if he finds form in Rookie of the Year.
He did?
He was.
When? When was that?
2000.
It was in 2019.
I might have missed it.
You might have missed that?
It's a joke.
His form has been not where that was, obviously. But if he finds that all of a sudden that 50% added on to incentives and that's like I think that's a great negotiation for Porg. I think it allows him to play a little more in that July window. Maybe get that winger that we were talking about earlier to kind of complement the two guys. And it allows Andre to go to a team that's not very good, and he can maybe go be their goal-scoring option. Matt, where do you see it for both sides?
Yeah, so I think, first of all, I think it's appropriate value. I think the reality is with the acquisition of Zardes, Shinyashiki's stock was down. As soon as Caleb Porter was like, we got a little bit of competition, and oh, by the way, Miguel Berry's starting the first 6 games of the season. It's like, okay, no, there's no competition. No. You're saying how you value that guy, and in that, you're not going to get as much guaranteed for him. And so that's kind of similarly what happened to Shinyashiki. He becomes a piece that is less valuable on the open market because of where the Rapids are at. People aren't going to pay as much for. So I think they got comparable value for him. I think just like with Columbus and the conditions for the Zardes trade, the Rapids they conditioned this for Shinyashiki to have a renaissance in the second half of the year for them to be compensated accordingly. I think $400K would have been appropriate for where he was this time last year. And then obviously if there's any additional sale on, he does have an Italian passport, so there's an easier path for him getting into Europe potentially. I don't know that what we've seen from Andre, he's going to Europe anytime soon, or certainly not this summer, I would say. But, look, he came in and he was a nice feel-good story for overall what was a really disappointing start of the 2019 season. And a lot of his success was at or close to his natural position as a false 9, as a channel-running target striker with DU. And the reality is, since Robin Fraser's come in, he hasn't really been used there. Rubio's been there. There's been some tactical differences. Yeah. He's fit in other roles that I think suit him because he's a very good defensive striker, if that makes any sense. And look, he was able to change himself himself into being a player that fit into where he got more minutes but wasn't playing in his best position. He's going to Charlotte, where obviously they have the Polish guy, Swinderski. I can't remember how to pronounce his name.
Swinderski.
But there's a little bit of fluidity in terms of everything else that they're doing up front. He did play a little bit on the wing in a 4-2-3-1 when he was at DU, but fundamentally, other than those first 3 months, that first 6 months under Anthony Hudson in his rookie year, Andre Shinyashiki hasn't been given the opportunity to play in his best position, where I think he's capable of being effective in Major League Soccer, and in that's limited him, and in that I think it was time for all parties involved, and I don't think there's any bad blood.
Juanners, would you take over 6.5 goals for him the rest of the season?
Well,
in Charlotte?
I think under. And not because he doesn't get to 6. I think it's right at 6.
Okay.
Their backup right now is Daniel Rios. I think Rios is a great kind of sub, but you go from Daniel Rios to Shinyashiki, that's a way better kind of upgrade right now for them. So immediately for Charlotte, they have a lot to be excited about. For the Rapids, it was just a case of odd man out.
Yep.
Despite being played out of position, I still feel as though Shinyashiki on the wing, he was still serviceable enough. Maybe you don't really need serviceable at this certain time, and if you really, if I'm Porig, do you really want like a serviceable backup winger when you can, get an extra gam and kind of use it to your benefit? I think with what Porig has, you just probably needed some more ingredients.
Yeah.
He was like, I can't really, it's not working out here for Shinyashiki. He's the odd man out. Instead of getting a serviceable winger, let's, bring in Zardes. And so with, Zardes in, Shinyashiki out was probably inevitable, whether it happened now or in the summer when maybe not they spent on another player. He was always going to be the odd man out.
Yeah, my guy. Do you have a eulogy for the Andre time with the Rapids?
Nope. Good luck.
Good luck. Wow.
He's no longer a Rapid. Great times here. Thank you for your rookie year. Good luck, man.
Wow.
Wish you nothing but the best with the Charlotte.
There you go.
Charlotte FC.
There you go.
Oops.
Guys, that was a fun little pod. I really had a good time. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Matt, you want to plug anything?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at LWS Matt Pollard. Matthew, I see you in the comments. Rabbi and I are recording tomorrow. We will answer your question as a truncated. Okay,
I had to
impromptu
get to
Ask HTHL.
I had to get to the ad read. I'm sorry, Matthew. I meant to ask you to bring that back up. And this kind of just fits into what we were talking about. You nailed it, I think. He is a name. He's a face. He will sell tickets. He is marketable. He is pretty cool.
Back in 2015, yeah.
Sure. But, he's on the national team. He's got the hair. I mean, he still is on the national team. He's not going to feature nearly as much now. But, yes, he will sell tickets. He is marketable. He's still serviceable. I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I think he's got great hair as well.
Great hair.
Which I think
that matters.
But I think it's also, not only is it a big name, but it's also one, Eunice Nomley was on a lot of the media stuff last year and the year before. But this is a guy who MLS fans in general will be more familiar with, which I think is good. They'll know him from the national team. I want to say generally there's a positive vibe. And if we're talking about other stuff off the field, he's a great guy in the community. I spoke to him earlier today. We're going to feature that on HTHL later as well. And so I think he is so fit in from a Rapid standpoint as just a humble, hardworking guy who's all about the team and is bringing good vibes, hard work. He's active in the community, and he's fundamentally a good human being. And so I think all of those things, he's already fit in with the Rapids. He already is. He was doing post-game radio with Connor Cape on Altitude Sports, and he was already talking about, we really wanted to win this game because of the playoff game. Sure. Zardes wasn't even here for Pids giving last year, and he's already bought it. This is the Chicago Black Sox, the Chicago Red Sox signing that random Japanese pitcher who barely speaks English, and then he immediately shows up and says Yankees suck.
Yeah, there you go.
Zardes absolutely has that right kind of energy. Sure. He is already a Rapid Rapids player, and I think it fits in from what the club's trying to do from a business standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, and he fits in perfectly culturally and tactically with Robin Frazier.
Yeah.
He is a perfect fit on and off the field as a weird blonde highlighter racing stripe peg into that missing starting forward.
There you go. I will bring in the resident Zardes hater. Juanners, what is your take on that?
I think this move really does a lot for me 5 years ago.
Oh my God.
That's all I have to say.
Okay. All right, fair.
But
That's all you have to say? That's all you got to say?
Because I don't know. Because he's just such a fringe player at this point for the national team. It's like, yeah, he's a former men's national team player. Maybe he is a national team player come the end of the season. But
I mean, I think he'll be in Qatar with the team.
I don't know.
We'll see.
And the thing is, if like, I don't mind that for the Rapids. Like, that is such a Rapids signing.
It's a very Rapids move.
But to just like call him the name, like the marketing guy, like I get the being the press guy and being the like the point of contact for that type of stuff. But building like, you know, if I start seeing billboards with this guy's face, I'm like, what year is it? You know?
Okay, would you prefer
Fair.
Mark?
I would prefer
you
Mac.
would prefer Mark Anthony
because
Kaye.
Mac is on an upswing right now. He's part of the Canadian golden generation, where whether or not they repeat the sustained success, he is part of the team that got the Canadian national team
To the cup.
back. Not even. I think this is their first World Cup. No, back into the World Cup.
Back into the World Cup.
So
The first time in my lifetime, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
86, right?
Yeah.
86. Yeah.
So I mean, for him, I think Mac is the bigger name of the two. He should. Maybe he's not. Maybe he is. Maybe more people.
I think
Definitely
internationally he's a bigger name. I think MLS.
It's Zardes for sure, but
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna pick someone to build a team around, it's got to be Mac.
Well, yeah, for
that's
sure.
what
And
I'm
I don't
saying.
think I don't think you bring him in to be a team building block. I think you bring him in to be a complementary
final
piece,
missing
and
piece.
he is the perfect complementary piece, at least in my
Who's
eyes.
Zardes?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if you have your choice of every possible player, he's not the perfect complementary piece,
Right.
But it was right time, right situation.
I mean,
right player.
it is just a rapid
Yeah.
signing, like I said.
Yeah.
Like it's a great signing for
Absolutely.
the Rapids to make. But
Yeah.
Kay and Price.
Yep.
Kay and Price are the two sons of the two moons that we have for Tatooine, and then Zardes is.
I don't know
like
what
the
any of this
missing-
stuff means, bro. You can't
tried to
use-
get into
you
Star
can't
Wars
use
stuff.
Zardes
Star Wars,
is
bro.
the Hoth base.
yeah. Where do you fall on the Juanners Matt Pollard scale of the Zardes fit with the Rapids?
I'm right. I'm a more Matt guy.
There you go.
I
there
love
you
Juan.
go.
I respect the whole Rubio bit. I respect it to death.
I don't
Great-
think it's past a bit at
It's
this
a great
point.
bit. I'll give you that great bit.
It's not a bit, bro. It's winning me money. It's the greatest money making bit, if that's
No,
what it is.
Okay, regardless, I do agree that Juan that Mac should be the guy, but I think that Zardes is gonna be the guy. I'm leaning more towards Matt,
Sure.
even though I like Juanner's thought process there.
All right. Guys, who do you have tonight? I think Seattle loses.
Give me Pumas at
I'll-
a plus
I'll-
400 with Juan Ignacio Dineno to score on a PK.
I'll take Pumas as well, and really I'm doing that knowing that I don't have a therapy session this week, and so I'm preempting myself for disappointment and free space.
There we go. Yeah, you got a winner?
Yeah, Pumas, dude.
Of course.
Sounders
And Mackie
got,
Sky, of course, picks Pumas.
dude, Sounders got gifted those two
No, you're right.
penalties.
You're
in the
right.
first
You're right.
leg. They
You're
were
right.
getting demolished. And
All right, I cut you off, Matt. Did you get all your plugs in? Last word on
No,
sports.
So
Holding the high line.
last word on sports. lastwordonsports.com/soccer for all of my written
Off the
content at
rails.
LWS Matt Pollard on Twitter, and then obviously check out the podcast Holding the High Line at Rapids96 Podcast on Twitter.
Definitely follow, read, listen. Matt knows what's up. It is your Rapids homework if you're behind on what is going on. And I mean that in the best way. It is you will learn a ton listening to that.
Professor Pids.
Yes. Juanners, plug your stuff.
You can follow me at Juanners FC. That's JUANNERS FC on Twitter. You can follow me at C38SG as well. Follow the podcast. Listen to the podcast. We kind of take it from more supporters' view of Rapids Rapids fandom. But also you can follow my gambling podcast for MLS at GAM_MLS on Twitter. Gambling Allocation Money. Kind of a play on words of GAM.
Oh.
Also, we have a Discord now where you can join for free. I do a weekly blog post of my 5 favorite MLS games, give you kind of my reads on the game, which tend to be
and you're making money.
Spot
so
on.
You might as well
and then
join up.
If you
and follow
really want to see what I'm betting, you can pay a premium price to see the picks that I got for the weekend. Free pick is Rapids moneyline this weekend. Because it's the Earthquakes, and so long as they play Calvo, it's a dub. So,
I know you're busy with the Avs stuff, but go ahead and make sure you follow his show there. He's been working his ass off with the graphics and with making sure that show's ready for the playoffs. So shout out super producer
Best
thank you.
team in Colorado right now
By a mile.
and then, not by a mile. The Rapids are right behind them.
Not right. Okay, sure. You know what? We don't have time to get into that. We'll maybe talk about that next week. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, go to DNVR. Subscribe to us on YouTube, man. Go to the DNVR.com. Get your year subscription. Go to the DNVR locker. Put me to work. Buy a t-shirt. It's Myrtle here, man. I need you to buy a t-shirt. Next week, we will be dropping the coolest Rapids merch that we have ever had by a mile. It's only the second thing, but hey, it's still a true statement.
is it a Rubio-inspired t-shirt?
Rufio-inspired t-shirt? No, it's not. It's not a t-shirt.
Zubio for life.
Just so you guys know, we do have Dwayne Brown on
Yes.
part of the DNVR.
Invisible Lads.
Yes,
Yeah, we
Invisible
do.
Lads.
He is
Shout out
part of-
Invisible Lads.
Yep.
He is part of the DNVR crew now, so expect a lot more.
We're going to get
cool-
some dope Rapid stuff going. Follow Yahir G_Vazquez on Twitter. Follow me at Mitch__Carroll. And guys, thank you so much for coming in, and up the Pids.